Good afternoon to the World Coin Talk community. Today we have an AMA with Calvaria here to speak about the projects El Oso and Nightmare. So yeah, guys, if we could just start with the core team's background and experience for crypto, that'd be great.
Okay, yeah, so our core team is 7 people, and the whole team that working on a project right now is 18 people. So yeah, to give you a little brief on our crypto experience. So our main blockchain developer, the CTO, he been in crypto since 2017 and overall in IT sphere and all that stuff. So he is responsible for everything tech in the company. And what he done is him and another co-founder of Calvaria, they actually created one of the first ICO listings like in crypto overall, like ICO aggregator. So yeah, it's foundico.com. Maybe you heard of it. It was founded in 2017, and 2 years later in 2019, it was sold for $500,000 or close to it. And they still get paid from it, from the advertisement contracts. And the biggest accomplishment, like something to flex about, is probably that they were working with UFC to promote the Khabib versus McGregor fight as like the main highlight of it. So he has experience in developing the smart chain contract, the Polygon, BSC, Ethereum for both tokens and NFTs, as well as he is the team lead, and he managing the team that develops the NFT marketplace, staking platform, and this sort of thing. So this is our blockchain developer. On the website, you can see him as Paul. That's his job. So then we have Walt. He was actually the Paul's partner. They together found the foundico.com, and he gained a lot of connections. Like he been in a lot of crews, a lot of conferences, so he directly knows a lot of people, including some the CEO of centralized exchanges. So you know we have this side of the business covered for the future as well, thanks to his personal connections and friendships. Me, I have a background. My name is Artemio. I have a background, like I ran a lot of businesses, including a few restaurants. So I'm responsible for the operation processes, for the goals, and you know, to take care of everything in the company so it works smooth inside the organization. As for the crypto, I've been in crypto since 2019. Did a little trading. Then I just decided to, okay, I'm just gonna hold, and this is how I basically grow into it, and I mean made a lot of money to be honest. We have the head of marketing. He has a background in affiliate marketing, 5 years to be precise. So his expertise is the push notification ads, the banner ads, and basically everything related to the marketing. Every aspect we got it covered as well. We also have two women on the team, and as we have legal entity, you know, we gotta report the taxes, do the budgeting. So TC is responsible for this, and Justina, she is responsible for the project management because she has a background in running a business, her family business. And El also, he can introduce himself, what he does. So
also. Yeah, I'm El also, otherwise known as Jeremy. I was a writer in China for a small mobile gaming company, and I also helped people with their screenwriting while I was there. So I've got experience, a little bit of experience with gaming, but more so just on the writing aspect. I've been writing for many years, but yeah, that's mostly what I bring to the project. I also am like working on the characters, the world building, a lot to do with just the game itself. I will be managing the community, and I have been doing like the editing for the project.
Awesome. Yeah, so if we can actually go into the game, Jewels of Eternity is a P2E and a PvP battle card game. Yeah, how's the game mechanics work? We can sort of go through some details on the game.
Yeah. I was thinking perhaps we could start with like just the general overview, and then I'll go into the game. But yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so Calvaria P2E is a play-to-earn project centered around a battle card game, which is set in the afterlife. Using both NFTs and tokens as rewards, players will battle each other turn by turn by playing down cards in order to increase their own army's power and lower their opponents to win out of the best of 3 rounds. There are currently 3 decks we plan to have available on the official release, each tied to their own deity. So we will have Santa Muerte, the Saint of Death, worshipped in Mexico. We'll have her deck composed of gangsters and cartel members. We'll have Quetzalcoatl, the god of life from Aztec mythology. He will have Aztec warriors and mythological creatures. And lastly, we'll have the Void, which will contain a deck full of creatures inspired by cosmic horror, and will have Lovecraftian aspects to them. The project will contain 5 main facets. The first is, of course, the aforementioned game itself, and I'll touch more on it soon. We will also have staking that rewards investors and permits access to our DAO. So that, of course, means, yes, we'll have a DAO where, like shares of the company, the more you stake, the more weight is carried in voting and in making motions. We will also have an in-game NFT marketplace where cards can be bought, sold, and upgraded, and an accompanying scholarship system. Now, this system will allow those who have invested in NFTs and including the decks to rent them out to players. This, of course, will facilitate both another revenue stream for investors who can manage whole teams of players, and for the players themselves to use decks without needing to invest if their circumstances do not allow for it. So this is all to make a greater accessibility to our game. Now, to touch on more about the game itself. So I mentioned that the setting will be in the afterlife. Like, we looked at different settings, we looked at fantasy, we looked at medieval, we looked at plenty of them, but we decided, like, so many of them have been done to death. So many of these kinds of settings, like also like Greek, Japanese, like, yeah, all of these have been done so many times. So we wanted to take our project into a new direction, into a huge challenge. So we decided on the afterlife. Now, when you think about it, you might have your own ideas. You might have been influenced by like religions or maybe like seen it somewhere else. But for the most part, the afterlife is a big question mark. Like there isn't many forms of media that have actually taken place in the afterlife. If you look at, let's say, books or movies or even video games, so many of them don't really have a big collection of games that are set there. For the most part, is heavily underrepresented. So we wanted to take this challenge and use the setting to kind of build up stories in a way that still you can relate to people, because these are stories about people. But in the setting, it recontextualizes the way that we can look at struggle, the way we can look at how we kind of process so many things that are so human, even in such a strange place. Now, our decks will be about 3 at launch. There will be characters, cards, there'll be spell cards, and neutral cards. So we're thinking of having 250 or more at launch. So all of those would, of course, be divided into the 3 decks. We want to have at least 3 or so different game modes when we launch. Like, for one, we want to have just standard PvP. We also want to have a story mode. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Dota Auto Chess or TFT. It's a type of game mode. We want to bring in one of these kinds of modes as well, because it's very popular. People like to play it. It's a bit different to what you'd usually find in a card game, but we think it would integrate perfectly with ours because of our setup. Like, our game board would have like 3 rows, a melee row, a mid-range row, and a back row. And so if we just kind of put those 2 together on like the what's it called, the field of battle, like we'll already have the 3D models. So we're kind of already set up to have that kind of mode. And yeah, so when people are playing the game, they'll be able to earn ERIA and NFTs. We'll also have RIA earnable in tournaments, which is our government's token. Let's see. We'll also have, a lot of expansions coming out. So we want to keep the game fresh. So many games just no, they're kind of boring. You might see like a side scroll or something else in the P2Es there, but we want to have a real interesting game. We want to have something that when you come and you play it, it's not like work. Like when you come and you play, we want you to have fun. We want that to be our main priority. So when people come and play our game, Calvaria Duels of Eternity, we want there to be new modes. We want there to be new cards coming out. We want there to be so many new things being brought into the project, into the game, that even for the older players, the ones who start off with us, we want our player base to always have something new to come back to. So these are like the main aspects of our game. I kind of touched on it before. For our mechanics, like, yeah, there'll be 3 rows on each side: mid, melee, and far range. So when you put your cards down, you'll assign them to one of those rows. They're most effective in the rows that they're assigned to, but they can be moved out, and that will do damage to them, and they become much less effective when they're moved. So each kind of card will have its own power or its own interaction with other cards to really allow a lot of strategy to be there. We want players to have to learn. We want to challenge them. We want to have it interesting enough where were there to be these tournaments like broadcast, that people would be looking and watching and be like, I wonder how we're going to play in this situation. Because it's supposed to be a strategic game, and for it to be fun, it needs to be complex. It needs to have something there that there's enough options, there's enough ways to play it that people can pull off amazing things, and it can be entertaining. So when it comes to the mechanics, we want that to be amazing. It's one of the core things. If we want people to have fun with that game, it has to be strong in that aspect too. So yeah, that's a bit about our game and our project.
I was looking at the white paper and I thought it was a great idea with the area token's going to be for the P2E, and then you've got the RIA token as well as the governance token. So there's not sell pressure on the RIA token because the earnings you make in the P2E is in the other token. I'm wondering on the timeline for the launch, would you be launching both tokens at the same time and on the same blockchain?
Okay, so RIA is actually going to be launched first. Is already the contract is already issued, and we already have been audited by TechRate. While ERIA going to be released closer to the game, and let's say it won't be like right now. We are partnering with venture funds, with launchpads, and all that stuff. It is for the RIA. Right, for the area, we're not gonna do as heavy of a campaign in terms of the partnerships. So it's gonna be less not completely low key, but it's not gonna be we're not gonna be collecting as much funds for it, and it might be just a fair launch or just a few launch pads. So it's gonna be later, closer to the game release. Yeah.
Got you. Because actually Infinity fell into that trap that they used a governance token for the P2E, and then there was huge sells, so you're not going to have that in the governance token. That's great. And to play the game, I think you need NFT decks. I'm wondering what the cost will be to buy the decks to play the game.
Can you repeat, please?
The NFT decks you'll need to play the game, and I'm wondering what the cost will be to buy the decks to play the game.
Okay, so we're gonna have a few options. We're gonna have like the full deck with extra cards, the more rare ones, and half a deck with just enough cards that allows you to play the game. So as for the pricing, we haven't really announced nothing yet, as we still calculating to make it accessible to more people. And we will also have free to play mode, which will allow the players to enjoy the game or test the mechanics to see what it is, but they won't be able to actually earn money in this in the free to play mode. So we will allow players to test it and see if it's for them, and if they want to proceed with buying a deck and participate in the P2E.
Awesome. And the area token, you're going to use that to level up, upgrade, and unique cards you can get, like NFT tokens, yeah.
Absolutely. So, for example, you have a card, like let's say you bought a deck, 36 regular cards, and then you play PvE and you got another NFT that is the same as one of those that you have. You can combine them both and use an area token, you can upgrade it. So it's like NFT breeding pretty much, right? You combine both and you get one that is have higher rarity score, is more rare, and is more powerful.
And then I was looking into the staking pool as well. You're going to have lock periods for investors that gradually unlock over time, and that's the same for the team tokens. I think that's a great way of it. So yeah, it's protecting the price chart basically, that it just gradually releases. And what's the sort of periods around the staking pool, the APY?
Yeah, so everything is vesting. There's a lockup on everything because we don't want it to oversupply it and devalue the token. So yeah, this is very important for us, and the tokenomics is actually something that we really put a lot of time to develop with the help of our venture funds partners, because we want to make it sustainable. We want the supply always matching the demand. So as for team tokens, like as you can see, it's like for many years. So it's I hope it shows that we in it for the long term.
For 4 years, is it, for the team tokens? Yeah. And you've got the DAO planned for the future as well, and lock stakers will be able to get voting rights on the project going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. By 2024, we actually plan to become fully decentralized organization. So the staking pool with the governance token RIA, the more you stake, like shares of the company, the more power your voice have. So an important thing is the stakers not will just be able to vote, they will actually be able to offer something, to put something for the community to vote and make this decision. We think it's very important because very often community are being ignored by developers, and we don't think it is the proper way to run business, especially when it's in decentralized space. And a lot of community members, they actually have a lot of great ideas. And the project, the game itself is made for the people. So we can't ignore the people when we make the project for the people. It just doesn't make sense. So yeah, we want to be in touch with community and, work together hand in hand.
And going back to the game, you're going to have a single player campaign mode, and then you're looking at seasonal tournaments as well. So I'm wondering if the seasonal tournaments will maybe be on Twitch, where all the community can tune in and watch live, or maybe even place bets on who's going to win.
Yes, absolutely. We were thinking about it. Like me as a sports fan, I was thinking what type of tournaments we can run, and there's actually a wide variety of them. And yes, we also want to partner with with some Twitch streamers to review the game, to play live, to participate in some tournaments and broadcast it, because it will help with the marketing and with engagement level as well.
Yeah, awesome. And how does the tokenomics work on the buys and sells for the project?
You mean the tax?
Buys and sell tax, yeah.
No, there's no tax.
So how are you sort of supporting liquidity? Would that come from some profits through the lock staking and marketing going forward?
Okay, so it's gonna be made by as you can see, we have allocated funds for marketing, and of course, every transaction within the in-game marketplace, it's gonna be taxed. For example, 10%, and it's gonna be split between the staking pool, the prize pool. So we want our economy to be self-sustainable. So the more people play the game means more people use in-game NFT marketplace. So, the pools, they are getting filled over and over again. So it's like a circle.
Right. And then I'm wondering if you've done it that way, so you can get onto a central exchange quicker without any taxes.
Yes, of course. I mean, we actually have connections to get us on centralized exchange. Matter of fact, currently we are in talks with 4 centralized exchanges for the IEO, which are DigiFinex, BitTrue, Bitmart, and the ProBit. And we in talks with a few more like LBank, Mex, even Gate for the actually listing at launch. So this is our plan to get listed on at least 2, maybe even 3 exchanges at launch. As for the IEO, they do not have, unfortunately, the vesting function. So I don't think we're gonna go for them, because the vesting really matters for us. As you can see in our tokenomics, like even initial market cap is built this way. Like it is like this because of how we build our tokenomics. So we don't want to destroy it all for the IEO if we can just get listed at launch.
Okay, great. And with the game, what's the sort of timeline for the beta and the launch? I think, is it going to be web-based at first, but then you're going to go over to iOS and Android mobile in the future? Yeah.
Okay, it's not going to be browser based because we don't want to limit ourselves. All these browser games, yeah, it's very popular in the P2E sphere, but it limits them, and they all promise the AAA experience, but it's not. So we don't want to make a blockchain game. We want to make a game, good game. We're going to use Unity, and then we want to implement the blockchain features to it. So we're going to have a web version, not a browser version. And yeah, we're definitely going for the apps. We want to be on Google Store. We want to be on Apple Store. And the way we achieve it is by implementing the in-game wallet, sort of like centralized exchanges do. Right. So anybody can register with their email. They will have like their own generated wallet in the game where they will receive their area tokens for the game, and then they can just withdraw it to their personal wallets.
Great. And I was looking over you've got a seed round, a private sale, and a public sale. I'm wondering where it is for investors at the moment and how they can get involved in purchasing the Calvaria project.
Okay, so for the seed round, we actually were partnering with venture funds. We partner with Kenzo Ventures, with Unity Capital, with Webcoin. So for the seed round, we haven't worked with retail investors before. However, like as for the group, we can do it. Like for example, if the community pledges a certain amount, we can definitely work with that. As for the private, it isn't as strict. So if people are interested in a private sale, we can make a form, and they can invest through the form. As for the public, we already partner with 5 different launch pads and in talks with many more. And everything from the public pre-sale going to be allocated between 7 to 10 launch pads. This is our plan. For now, we already signed the contracts with LunaPad, with DAOstarter, with Erex, with Milky Way Eggs, and with Starfi. Starfi will also host, partially, of course, our INO. We do not want to put whole allocation for the one launch pad because, the more launch pad, the more organic marketing, the more organic words, the more organically the word spreads because, everybody push it to their community, the word gets around, so it's all natural. So it's better to have as many partners as possible, and this is what we pretty much do.
Cool. I've not heard of that before, where you go across multiple launch pads. I'm wondering, are you picking ones that don't take a share of the tokens? Otherwise, if you were on 5, they might have a large amount of the supply.
No, they like our deals with launchpads, they do not take the tokens, they just take the percentage of the allocation. This is how like 100% of them work. As for the tokens, like as you can see, we have the partners and advisors tokens, and they all like also vested for a pretty long time. These are for the venture funds that, you know, also like want to be our advisors, want to incubate us. But so far we haven't given them away. What we given away, like the partners, the venture funds partners that we have right now, they were investing in the seed round.
And audits, are you going to be auditing the Calvaria project before launch or after launch?
Actually, we already audited. We have the tech rate audit, and before the launch, we also plan to add the CertiK audit to it. Yes.
Yeah, CertiK audit really adds weight to the projects. I've seen a lot fly after they passed this CertiK audits. And what's the plans going forward for the marketing after launch?
Okay, so there's going to be 3 types of marketing, right? The first type of marketing is to attract the investors, right? To make them interested into buying a token, trade it, stake it, whatever. The way to achieve it is AMAs, the video conferences, and the banner ads on a crypto website. We already passed the KYC, and we already got approved by BitMedia, by CoinZilla, and between just these 2 platforms, between these 2 advertising platforms, we covering 100% of all the crypto websites in the world, starting with CoinGecko, BSC Scan, EtherScan, and finishing with those that probably only 3 people use. So banner ads, and, you know, spread the word this way, plus the social media, of course. We're not really keen to work with influencers because it tends to be ineffective and overpriced. But if we will be able to actually partner with somebody, you know, with someone who genuinely interested in the project, then of course it's an option. The second type of marketing is the brand awareness, and it can work both ways for the gamers, for the potential gamers, and for the investors. So the best way to achieve it is to run the marketing campaigns on social media and push notification, just as well as native ads. They all working good. So what we're trying to achieve by running these type of ads is to bring this feeling into people, like, oh, I saw it somewhere. And, you know, after they saw it 3rd, 4th time, they think, oh, okay, I see it very often, so it got to be good. This is psychology, and it works very well. As for the 3rd type of marketing, it is aimed for the people who will be interested in the game, and we want to do it to build anticipation hype before the launch. So what we need for it is the teaser video and the cinematic trailer. For the cinematic trailer, we will work with glowproduction.com. It's one of the best, if not the best, cinematic trailer company, if I can, like video production company. Yeah, that's better wording. Yeah. So for this, we're going to use the Google ads, and we're going to use the YouTube ads. YouTube ads are very underappreciated when it comes to this, so we're going to utilize it fully. And of course, when we have the playable version of the game, we're going to add the, you know, like when you downloaded the game from the Apple Store, sometimes, like, to get additional energy, you can get you should watch the ad. So we're gonna advertise our game this way as well. So yeah, three types of marketing for 3 different targets.
Sounds great, yeah. And going back to the NFTs, you said you're going to have different collections, NFT decks. Yeah, I'm wondering how many is going to be sort of minted over what sort of period, yeah.
Okay, so the first collection that is already prepared, and at the end of this month, we're going to have a small pre-sale, like probably under 1,000. It's called Calaveras, and they are skulls animated, and in the game they're going to be used as generals. So if you are a holder of Calaveras, you will get an access to the king's superpower, like also mentioned 3 deities, 3 kings, Santa Muerte, Quetzalcoatl, and the Void, right? So if you are a holder of Calavera NFTs, you will get access to the superpowers of those kings, which will give you an advantage in the battlefield, more chances to win, and, you know, the more you win, the more money you get. And that's gonna be just 10,000 of them, and each of them will have unique rarity level. And yeah, we already had the pre-sale. We sold certain amount. I believe that was about 300. So yeah, it was sold out pretty fast. How much was available? So yeah, we have a strong community of holders already of those original that, because we had this sale like a few months ago. That was a long time ago. So yeah, for this collection, there's gonna be 10,000. For the cars that you can see on the website, there's 9 of them to demonstrate, like, the vibe, the whole vibe of the deck. It's gonna be a different type of cards, and we wanna release it as boxes. So, for example, like maybe you're familiar with NBA Top Shot, right? Just without oversupplying it. So, for example, the box drop, and in one box you can get like common card, more rare card, the better card, this type of stuff. So, of course, common cards, there's going to be more of them. I can't tell you exactly how many can be minted, but yeah, this is the plan: common, rare, legendary, this type of stuff.
Okay, great. And what will happen with the profits from the NFTs? Is there a breakdown of, like, some will go towards marketing, liquidity, buyback, and burns?
Okay, so as for the buyback, we will have funds for the buyback. So, in case something happened, we can always buy token back and burn it. This is the plan, to have this. How's that? Funds for it, right? From the NFTs, everything gonna go to the staking pool, to the prize pool, and for this, separate wallet for the operations, pretty much. As for the people who are trading on our in-game NFT marketplace, it's going to be pretty much the same stuff. Only like the majority, or like 90% of everything, the person who sells gets it, obviously.
Okay, great. And with the prize pool, is that like a lottery, or is that for the seasonal tournaments that you'll hold in the future?
It's for the tournament. It's for the tournament because like the one that you see in our white paper is for the RIA, right? So RIA gonna be used as a prize for the tournaments.
So I can open it up to the rest of the team. If anyone's got a question for the Calvaria team here, go ahead.
Yeah, Glenn, I was listening in. It sounds like you guys are building something super cool. I'm a fan of TFT, and I've played the Dota auto chess and all that. So I like that you're putting like multiple types of game styles out there. So that's super nice for me. And I'm wondering about just one thing. Like, what do you guys plan to have sort of as token sinks, right? For people that are winning the in-game currency, right? And then will there be something where they can spend it in game, or will they be incentivized to sort of put it back into the game rather than taking it out and taking that money out of the liquidity pool?
Absolutely, yes. So we understand that there might be, a lot of selling pressure if there's no good utility for the in-game token. So the NFT breeding, the upgrades, you gotta have the in-game token. You gotta have ERIA, and this is like one of the main utility of it. Another one is everything that is related to the in-game NFT marketplace. Trade, buy, rent, buy potions, buy buffs, those that give you advantage for the one game only, or for the certain amount of time. So yeah, this like ERIA will have utility, so people are motivated to keep it and spend it in a game to to increase their chances to win more and more.
Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds good.
And actually motivated to buy it, because we do not want to treat it like a wrapper, we want to treat it like another separate coin. So we also gonna list it on centralized exchanges as well to to bring in the volume, to make people buy, trade, and all that stuff. So we wanna grow both of our tokens.
Yeah, it sounds good. I like that you have a good plan to kind of create this stability in the ecosystem, and if you can develop some sort of yeah, sandbox kind of marketplace for people where they can trade stuff, where they can buy, as you mentioned, like potions and all those things to actually be incentivized to use it in the game to progress further or to get some perks or anything like that.
Yes.
I think that can be like very beneficial. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
So open it up to the community members. So Sayed, you had a question for the Calvaria team. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. So I want to understand that will players be allowed to use any card in the duel, or there will be point system depending on the points player will be able to use a certain card in the battle?
Okay, I understand your question. So imagine the situation. You have the full deck, right? And full deck is 36 regular cards, plus additional neutral cards, additional lieutenants, which are, better cards. But let's, to simplify it, let's say you have 36 cards. The game, the main mode, will require you to have 12 as your hand. So before the match starts, you get random 12 cards from the deck that you have, and then before you can proceed, you can change up to 3 cards from your hand to any cards from the deck you have. So you gotta have the deck, and then from the hand, like the hand will be chosen randomly from the deck you have, but you will be able to change some of them.
Got it.
But to use the cards, you gotta own them.
Yeah. You mentioned about that. Okay, moving to my next question. I want to know that will there be different battlegrounds in the PvP mode? I mean, different backgrounds or maps?
Absolutely. As also mentioned, we have 3 worlds, 3 domains, and each domain will have a lot of battlefields as well. Absolutely, we know how important it is to have attractive picture for it, how important it is to keep interest among the players. So yes, absolutely, there's going to be a lot, and it's not just going to be, we will just make a lot and then stop at it. No, we will constantly add more battlefields, more cards, more decks, and so on.
Got it. Understood. So on your roadmap, I've read about comics. You will be releasing on characters based on the characters of the duels of eternity. So I want to know that will these comics be only in digital NFT form or hard copy, and these comics will be for the adults or kids?
Okay, so it will be like, I'm not sure if we will be able to do this in a physical form, but in a digital, there's going to be both as NFT and as limited edition, as non-NFT. But yeah, absolutely, we want to expand beyond just the digital space, and the same goes for the cards. In the future, we actually want to release the decks and our cards, our game as something physical that you can buy on Amazon, for example, and play at home, like the board game, pretty much.
Yeah, got it. That would be awesome. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So moving to my final question, you mentioned that players can have one deck or half deck of the cards to be able to play the game. So I was wondering that will there be different tiers of the decks available depending on the rarity level? If someone wants more rare card, they can get expensive deck of cards.
Yes, and it's gonna be available through the renting as well. So for example, if you have very rare card, right, but you have like more than one and you can't obviously use all of them in the game, you can just rent them out, and you can build you can have very small deck, but it's going to be so powerful that you pretty much won't need more cards for it,
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Right. Venice, you've got a question for the Calvaria team. Go ahead.
Yeah, Glenn, I do have. Thank you so much. Actually, I wanted to know that are there any cards that can make players earn more tokens in the game, or cards which have an ability to shield the players against attacks. So, do you have any kind of thing in the game?
So yeah, let me explain how we see our system. Because I might not understand exactly what you mean. So the more games you win, right, the more like the more money you earn. You gotta win games to be able to earn. Of course, if you lose, you will also get something, but it's it's more uh, like nothing serious, if that makes sense, right? So you will be able to buy buffs, to buy some boosts, some potions to increase your chance to win in a particular matchup. And this is the reason why we allow the card upgrade, so you can build more powerful deck for you to win.
Okay, that's awesome. And in PvP mode, will there be any time frame in which players must have to make their move, and if they don't,
Yes.
then there will be penalty for them?
Yes, absolutely, because we don't want the game, stretch for 2 hours just because someone can't make a move. So absolutely, there's gonna be a time limit for each move, and if the player doesn't move, that's gonna be like, players when they play, they will be able to pass one of the moves. So first time you didn't have enough time to make your move, there's gonna be like passed, and the second time is gonna be forfeit.
Okay, and I read you also have plans for physical and digital goods. So I want to know what will be these goods, and for what purposes we can use these digital goods in the game.
Okay, so digital cards for the game are obviously used for playing, because you gotta own them to use them in the game, right? Like I mentioned before. And of course, you can rent them out, you can trade them. So what we provide is we provide the full ownership, right? The NFT you won or you bought, it's yours. You can sell it on our in-game NFT marketplace. You can sell it on OpenSea, on Rarible, on Binance, pretty much anywhere, right? And we will allow the scholarship system in which people will be able to rent it from you, right? So if you have a card, you can auction it, or if you have a deck or a lot of decks, you can even build your own team of players and manage them through our in-game NFT marketplace. So if you have a lot of cards, you can build your team and basically get a passive income from it.
Okay, and I was asking for the physical and digital goods, as it is mentioned on your white paper that collectible
Mhm.
toys and NFT tokens. So I was referring to that digital goods, not for the cards which we need to have for
Ah,
playing.
okay, yeah. So as for the physical, yeah, there's gonna be merch. We really think that our arts it can make really good merch. So it's more like marketing and expansion for the awareness, if that makes sense. To make
And
the brand grow, pretty much.
yeah, and can players conduct tournament their self to to have their tournaments? I mean, uh, will they conduct a tournament their self and create the tournaments so they can earn more and add different teams from different places?
Yes, this is in plans. We want to allow players to sort of like when you play the online game, right? Like players can create a map and sort of match. So we want to allow our players to create a tournaments as well. Absolutely. And we also want to allow the mode where you can create a room. So instead of get the random PvP matchup, you can, send the link to your friend and just play against your friend.
Okay, that's awesome. You guys have really great plans for the game, and I really love it. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Thank you for your questions. Thank you.
Great. And let's move on to Aisha. You had a question for the Calvaria team. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. I have a few questions related to game. First, I want to know that will players be able to set small wager for a battle and then winner takes all?
You mean for the scholarship system, right?
No, not for the scholarship. I mean small wager for a battle.
Yeah. We do want to have that also in like a mode where you can challenge people, and if they do, you set the wager, and then whoever wins does take it. Yeah.
Okay, and I was wondering that in player versus player mode, will only two players be able to fight against each other, or players will be able to team up and then have a battle in Duels of Eternity?
Well, we haven't set that mode yet. We haven't really thought about having one where you can have multiple players besides the one like TFT or Dota Auto Chess. Like in that one, you'll be up against another 7 players, so it's 8 players total. For multiple people on the same team, it'll take a while for us to develop that kind of system that will work with our kind of mechanics. So maybe something for the future, maybe a mode that we'll bring out, but for now we haven't had time to develop it.
Okay, got it. On your white paper, I've read that if players have same cards with the same strength, they can be combined to obtain a new card of higher level. I want to know that players will be able to combine cards from, I mean, will players be able to combine cards from different decks, or they can only combine cards of a single deck together to get a new upgraded card?
Okay,
So
that's gonna be from the same deck because each deck it's basically represents the domain, the like deity, right? So from our game story and the game setting, it doesn't make sense to be able to combine cards from two different decks as in a story they are enemies, and we want to stick to the story because the storytelling is a very important part of the concept.
Okay, and how much area tokens will be required for combining cards?
That's gonna be like because you will be able to upgrade the same card more than once. The rate gonna be growing to to not oversupply the market and to not oversaturate it with more powerful cards. Amount we can't tell right now. Because we got a lot of things to figure, a lot of things to count before we even release the area token.
Okay, understood.
But there's going to be
Okay,
a progressive system.
all right. Okay, final question from my side. On your white paper, I've read that players will align themselves with one of 3 factions before collecting and organizing armies. I was wondering that once the player have selected one of 3 factions, will they be able to change the faction and start to organize and collect new armies?
Yes, of course. You can have all decks at once. You just before a certain game, you will need to choose the deck you use in a certain game or the tournament. For example, if you participate in a tournament, of course, we will have many types of tournaments, but you will need to choose the deck that you will use for the whole tournament.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for answering all my questions.
Thank you for the questions.
That's all the questions. So yeah, we've got 392 in the call now, and that's great. So if maybe we can do a recap, guys, on the Calvaria project and go over the pre-sale and private sale and what's happening with the game and everything, that'd be great.
Okay, so let's also to do the recap of the project, and then we will talk about the the tokenomics and the sale aspects of it.
Yeah. So for the overview, we'll have the staking, we'll have the game itself, we'll have the shit like the what's it called, the staking, of course, so that people can begin to govern the token, and then in 4 years we hope that the community will be able to govern the whole thing by themselves with the putting the motions forward and voting on them with the amount of stakes. So this is like the main kind of part on the back end, but for the the front. Like, yeah, for gamers, they'll have access to the game. They'll be getting their NFTs, and we'll have our marketplace there so people can buy, sell, and upgrade their cards. And yeah, there'll be our what's it called? Our scholarship system, so that people can play the game even if they don't buy their own decks or buy their own cards. Because yes, we do want it to be as accessible to as many people as possible, and we will have the free version, which will come out on the apps so that people can at least try it out and see if they want to invest as well. We are going to be setting it in the afterlife. There's going to be constant new content, different modes, different kinds of cards, and new decks coming out too. So we want to make the game in a way where there's enough there that both the old players and anyone else who comes in will always have something that they can now try to master and have new game modes and things to keep them interested. We don't want this to be a game that we put out and just leave. No, we want people to constantly want to engage in it, constantly try better themselves. We want it to be a game where, like, even if there was no play to earn function, people would still want to play the game. This is one of our greatest missions here. We want to make an amazing game. So for that to happen, to keep a player base for as long as possible, or potentially infinitely, we want to keep bringing out new content, keep bringing in new decks, and keep a story that keeps evolving over time. So these are the main facets of our project. And yeah, we believe that people are really going to love it. We're putting our heart and our soul into it. This is also why we chose the Afterlife, because this is something we want to be completely different than anything you've seen before. So yeah, that's kind of like a summary of our project.
Awesome. It's been great speaking to you today, guys, from the Calvaria core team. Yeah, it's a really interesting project with the card game looks super cool, and it's really popular, these sort of games. So I'm looking forward to the future for your project. And we always say, if anyone's listening into the AMA and has any questions, we can get you safely over to the Calvaria official Telegram. That's in our chat, and the website's in our chat if you want to go and check it out. And the white paper looks an awesome project for our investors. I'm glad you came today, guys. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for having us, Glenn.
Yeah, and yeah, as I mentioned, the seed round and the private round both still ongoing. So if community is interested, like you can contact me, and we can organize either the form or like the community pledge, and of course figure out the details, of.
And do you have the voice chat open over at the Telegram sometimes for investors to come in and have a chat?
Sorry, what did you say, Glenn?
I was just saying, do you have the voice chat open at your Telegram for investors to come in sometimes and have a chat about the project?
Yeah, we're thinking of setting like maybe a weekly time. So like maybe every Thursday at a certain time, like it'll be open for like 5 hours.
Yeah, you don't have to open it all the time now. I think people just do countdown clocks, and you can have AMAs in your Telegram and yeah, things like that. And what's the timeline for the launch date? I was wondering.
Okay, so for the launch, we are aiming for the end of May right now. This is our aim for the IDOs and for the TGE.
Right, I'll finish the recording. I think we've got spin the wheel for 2 lucky winners, $50 each today as well. I'll spin the wheel, and yeah, and I'll finish the recording. Send a copy over for you to share with your community, and I'll pin that for our community to listen back to if they weren't live in the AMA today. Thanks very much for coming, guys.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank everyone else who has joined us today. I hope you feel that, I don't know, like the same passion for this as I do. I really want to make an amazing game. We all do. So yeah, I hope you can feel that.